go in here. Hello. My name's Lack. I did a video for Twitch things, which I've been asked a few questions about. So I thought what I'd do is go over the basics of how I did it. So the video was a duet seed for Twitch things, which was for Ice Ice Baby. So the idea is that with the new open mic feature, you don't want to use copyrighted material. So using the backing track that I have from my karaoke program for Ice Ice Baby was out of the question. But I wanted to put up a seed for Ice Ice Baby, so I thought I'd make one myself. Now, I can't play any instruments, so the idea was to create it from scratch using just my voice and whatever I could to make it happen. So the basic way I did it was doing it in Premiere Pro and then outputting it as a webcam source with a virtual webcam program so that Twitch things would pick it up as a webcam and I could put it into a duet seed. So this is Premiere Pro. Most video editing software are pretty much the same. It's all about creating layers of video in order to create a video, the desired effect. So if you look at, let me just bring this up, not that, this one, come on, there we go. Okay, so this is the project overall. You'll notice that each of these lines here, they're all layers. Like you would in Photoshop have layers in an image, this is layers in a video. And down the bottom are layers in audio. So, and each one of those obviously corresponds, one corresponds to the other. So the way that I did it was to look at the basic waveform of the song Ice Ice Baby, which is what this is, this green line here. So if I solo this out, you'll notice that this is, so I'll pause it, the original backing track. I'm not going to play too much of that because it's copyrighted. So mute that again. So then what I would do is have a listen to that track and kind of think, okay, so what is required when reproducing that track in order for someone who is watching to recognize that that song is Ice Ice Baby. So you need obviously the Queen bass line, right? You need that because everyone knows that part of Ice Ice Baby. But that's only in the chorus. So the bass line here and is just in the chorus. It's not in the rest of the song. So the actual bass of the song is this kind of like, which is here. No, is here. Yes. So the bass of the song is this kind of like constant droning, like, and then every once in a while it hits like a hi-hat or something. It's like, it goes kind of thing. So that's kind of the basic idea of most of the song uses that. So I'm like, okay, well, that's the first thing I need. So I created that first. So I can layer that in, have that in the right place. And so what you do is you kind of find that in the backing track and kind of go, okay, so where does it happen? So that's this kind of, right, so that kind of sound. Get that and kind of layer in me doing that over the top of it. So then you get the, right? And then layer that over the top of it and make sure that the waveform of the original backing track and the waveform of what I'm doing, which I think is this green one over here. I think it is. Yeah. They line up. So they have to line up perfectly. So you'll see mine didn't quite line up because I didn't do the performance correctly, but it's close enough that you could recognize it. So you'll see that like the kind of hi-hat things, they line up there pretty close. I think I was slightly behind when I'm doing it, but it lines up well enough that you can't really notice. So the idea is like line those up and then just do that over and over and over with every part of the song that you think you need. So obviously we need the Queen bass line, we need the claps, we need the clicks, so we need like that kind of thing. And then once you've got all that basic down, then you kind of think about what else you need. So the other part is later on they have a kind of a part that's, I don't know what instrument that's used in the original, but it's like dun 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 dun. So that is required. So you need that. And then inside the chorus, there's also part that goes dun dun. So you need that as well, and then you need the actual backing vocals. You need that as well, and then you need the part where he says vanilla, right? And that's really all I needed, which is about 8 sources, and then on top of that, the actual rapping itself. So once I had the bass line without the rap over the top, then I output that to MP3, play that back while rapping over the top of it. Although actually, no, I didn't do that. No, I didn't need to do that. That's right, because I had the original backing track. So I just used the original backing track and then laid it over the top. But you could do that if you're creating an original piece of work that you want to use, or that you don't have a backing track for. Then you can output it as MP3 and then sing over the top of it, or use your Ableton or Pro Tools or whatever you're using for your audio. You can do it that way as well, I guess. But in the end, you create another video source, put that on top. So once you've got all those layers in place, then it's just a matter of being creatively making it look good on screen. So in order to do that, you need to have, let me just make this a bit bigger. So you need to be able to put all these boxes in place. So the easy way to do that is just to go into your effects, which is somewhere there. And so the way I did it anyway is that in your effects, in transform, there's a crop thing. You grab the crop, drop it onto the source you want, and then in your effect controls, which I don't have anything selected. There's one. No, try this one that actually has a crop on it. There you go. So you'll see that the crop for this particular clip, which is the Queen bass line, has 25% on either side of it, so that you only see the part that I need. So that in this case, it's this one down here. So if I clicked on that position-wise, you'd see it is. There it is there. And then so once you've got that, so you see that the black on either side that's the crop I've done. So that's given me the box I want. And then once you've done that, you can essentially move it anywhere you want. So once you've got your box where you want, you move it where you want. You've got to have motion selected in order to move it, or you can double click it if you've got that particular line in the that layer selected. Then you can actually, if you've got that soloed out, then you click on it. But generally it's easier just to click in the motion, because otherwise you accidentally click on something else. So once you've got it in place, then you can do that and move it wherever you want. You can resize it, do whatever you need to do. So you like re-click, make it a bit bigger, whatever you need to do to make it the way you want it. And then once you've got it in place, you then got yourself a positioning point that you can use for the rest of your clips for that particular thing. Either if you do it on the first clip that you're going to do, then you can just copy and paste the entire clip and it will stay for the whole project. But later on, and this is why it takes so long to rejig things later, is that later on, if you want to make a change, the idea is you've got to then copy the effects over. So the idea is once you've got I'm just going to bring this down. Let's see. There we go. You can just, once you've got the crop effects or whatever effect you want, you can just right click it, copy it, or, Control C, and then just move over to the next clip you want and then just paste it. And it will copy over those numbers, which is the positioning numbers and size numbers, over to the next clip. So that's the idea. You get to the windows to where you want them, make it look nice, make it look like it's, fancy or edited nicely or whatever you need to do. And then once you've done that, output the whole thing as a video. So I usually go with something that has good compression for uploading to YouTube or whatever. So I always go for H.264 MP4s. So that's easy enough. It's pretty easy, and most video editing softwares have it. So whether it's Premiere Pro or whatever you end up using, Vegas or whatever, they'll all have a version of H.264 these days. So it's a really good compression. You don't lose that much information, and it looks good when it goes into YouTube. So I did that, and then so once you've got that done, the next part, once you've got a video that you've finished and it's exactly what you want, then you've got to import that into Twitch things. So that's like the next step, right? So actually, before I go there, let me tell you about this one thing. We'll get back to the Twitch things in a second. So if you're doing this particular video that you're looking at here, this one here, this was the re-edited version that I did in order to enter it into a Twitch Things comp that I was doing, hosted by Cressel Snapdragon and Raging Pianist, because they needed it to be a solo, not a duet. So I had to re-edit it and move things around to make it a solo. So that's fine enough. But the original version was actually a duet. So if you're going to do a duet in Twitch Sings, there's a very specific part of the window that is seen by the Twitch Sings, kind of camera, I guess you could call it, and captured when you do a duet. If you just try to put any old video in there, you'll get crops in places you don't want crops. And if you're trying to be creative and make it exactly the way you want it to look, then you're going to lose information that you don't want to lose. So the way that I worked that out was I found out that there's a very specific way that a very specific part of the screen it uses. So I worked that out using Photoshop and screenshots and so forth, and created a mask, which is what this is. So basically this is just black bars on either side, and the part in the middle is transparent where you want your video to show up. So if you go to here, make it a bit smaller, see that everything either side will not get picked up by the Twitch Sings camera, and everything inside will. When you initially record the duet, it zooms in a little bit, so you'll get crops on the top and bottom initially when you look at it, but that's just your screen. It's not what it's actually going to look like in the seed. The seed will zoom back out to the way that everything that you have in this particular duet mask. So once you have the duet mask in there and you've got it all set and you've got the video and you've output it and you're ready to go, you've got everything done, the next part is to bring it into Twitch Sings. So the way that I did it was that I used a program called Verisoft Webcam Splitter. Now, it is a virtual webcam software, and there are plenty of them out there. There's one called SplitCam, there's one called ManyCam, SparkoCam. There's a whole bunch of different ones. SparkoCam is really, really good, but it's like $50, like US. So I didn't go for that one. ManyCam and SplitCam are free, but I found that I was getting a lot of screen lag and stuff with my webcam. So I didn't go for those ones, even though they're free. But Vericam cost me $20 US, so it's about $30 Australian. And it's basic. It's extremely basic. All it does is what it's advertised to do. So basically, if you have a look down here, you've got your sources, and you just choose what source you want. So right now I've got my webcam, which you can see in OBS. And so the advantage of getting one of these programs, even if you're not doing this stuff, is that you can use your webcam in OBS and in Twitch Sings at the same time. Windows only lets you use a webcam source for one program at a time. So this allows you to do that. It'll come up in Twitch Sings as Vericam virtual webcam. And so basically all I had to do, so if you look at my webcam at the moment you're looking at, if I change it over to using the MP4, then that webcam now becomes the video that I created earlier. Let me just get rid of that. And then you just if you're in Twitch Sings, you'd see that video as your webcam in Twitch Sings. And that's all you need to do. And so the idea is the Vericam software plays the video the minute you switch, or the second you switch over the source. So there is a little game you've got to play when recording the duet, watching the countdown timer and switching over to the multimedia source at exactly the right time to try to not get the Vericam logo to appear and get the video to start right at the beginning. I didn't quite get it, but I only just clipped the very end of the Vericam and logo, which is unfortunate. I wish the logo wasn't there, but what can you do? So that's basically how it works. It's very time consuming, but it's not complicated. I should say it's complex, but not complicated. It just takes a lot of time. I don't know if I said earlier, but this whole first edit took 8 hours to get all these things in the right places and so forth. A lot of slight fiddling and moving things in, because if you try to move something, you've got to be zoomed all the way in to a track, and then you can move things like 1 microsecond and so forth. So a lot of this was getting it in the right spot, but it just sounded a little bit off. So it's just moving it a microsecond, getting into the right place. So that initial thing took about 8 hours to do that. And then when I wanted to enter that solo competition, it was an extra 4 hours on top of that to get it, to rejig it, to make it look as a solo. So that's basically how it works. It's not that difficult, but if you need help with it and have any questions, just hit me up on Discord. I'm floating around a lot of the YouTube communities, or you can join my Discord. There's not much happening on there because I haven't started streaming yet, but I'm in there, so you can at me. You can find all those details on my Twitch page, which is Lack TV on Twitch. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope that this helped in some way or it gave you some ideas to do your own stuff. I'd love to see some really cool stuff happening from other people. It'd be awesome. So yeah, thanks for that and have a good one. See ya.